made a couple of videos about the €35 PC before, but I've never really talked about my actual rig and how it's evolved over the years. So today I want to take you through the story of my own PC journey, where it all started, the upgrades I've made and where I am now. So we got our first computer into the house all the way back in 2008, and if I remember correctly, it had 4 gigs of RAM and around 1 GB of VRAM. I specifically remember the VRAM because of GTA 4. I noticed that when I changed the graphics settings, some numbers would change on the bottom right of the corner. That PC stayed with us until 2015, but we weren't really using it for gaming since we had a PS2 and a PS3 and a way better laptop. It was mostly a web surfing machine. Everything changed when GTA V dropped on PC, and I knew mods were going to be insane. So I wanted to move fully into PC gaming since all my friends had gaming PCs, and I was feeling left out. I know it's not the best reason to get into PC gaming, but for 16-year-old me, yeah, that was the reason. So with no skills or knowledge, we took the PC to a local tech store and asked what can we do with €300. To this day, I regret taking that approach, but hey, we didn't know any better. So we walked out the store with a GT 730, 8 gigs of RAM, and an AMD Athlon A6 6400K. It could barely run GTA 5 on the lowest settings, but at least it worked. I was also addicted to Rainbow Six Siege at the time, and I was actually running it at 480p, which sucked so bad. Also, the WWE 2K games were really demanding on the GPU side, and the poor 730 was seriously holding me back. By 2018, I had enough. I saved up and I got a GT 1030. By then, I had actually learned what a PSU was and no longer confused it with a GPU. That upgrade was eye-opening. Suddenly, GTA 5 was running at 60 FPS and I could actually see details in Rainbow Six Siege. I was legit shocked. I didn't know games could look that good. But then, the CPU obviously became a problem. I was getting constant stutters and I realized that I had to upgrade the CPU. But in order to do that, I had to change the motherboard too. This was my first real PC upgrade, and since I was on a tight budget, I couldn't spend more than €100 at a time. That meant selling my old motherboard and CPU and being without a PC for a few days. I literally can't understand how I survived that period without a computer. I went with a B410MHG motherboard and an i3-10100F, alongside with my trusty GT 1030. At this point I was hooked on upgrading. I had finally learned so much more about performance, and the GT 1030, despite its limitations, had a special place in my heart. It was tiny, but back in 2018, it was very capable for what I was doing. I didn't even have a 1080p monitor, so the GT 1030 felt even more powerful. I completed Far Cry 5 with it, and how I did that? I was tweaking the config files to squeeze out as much FPS as I could. I also remember making Tekken 7 look like freaking Roblox, and Hitman was probably the hardest game to run, because it's a very demanding game. So at the time I could only dream of running Hitman on the very high settings. And that kind of stopped with the RTX 6500 XT. And I know that everyone hates this graphics card, and I totally understand why, but don't forget I was on a really tight budget. Obviously, those specs that I bought, I got them used, except the GT 1030. I think that was the last thing that I actually bought new, and thankfully I've never had problems. Anyways, obviously I got it used for €120, and you know what? I could have done much better, but I was really dying for an upgrade and I wanted to buy a graphics card locally used, so that was my only option. It was a bittersweet upgrade because I had so much nostalgia for my GT 1030, but it was time to move on. The RX 6500 XT let me play almost everything on medium to low settings, at 1080p obviously, but even 4GB of VRAM was starting to become a problem. Then everything changed when I found a local listing for an RTX 3060 just a month ago, the most popular GPU on Steam I believe. Yet a card people either love or hate. Personally, I don't think there are bad GPUs, just bad prices. But I paid €150 for this, and for that price, it was a steal, in my opinion at least. This GPU completely changed how I see gaming. It's the first time in my life that I see triple-digit FPS in nearly every game I play, and that's really insane to me. Even got to try ray tracing, which is really cool, but I don't get what the fuss is all about. One small issue though, my RX 6500 XT used a 6-pin PCIe, while the RTX 3060 needs an 8-pin. That meant a PSU upgrade. But honestly, after 6+ years, it was inevitable, and I couldn't be happier with the setup that I have now. The RTX 3060 destroys the games I play in terms of performance, but weirdly I still feel uneasy cracking everything to max settings. Maybe it's the years of having to tweak settings for performance, but I just prefer a mix of settings rather than maxing everything out. So let's try some games, shall we? First we got GTA 5 Legacy Edition. And yeah, it runs flawlessly at max settings, both online and in single player. But GTA V Enhanced Edition? Whole different story. With ray tracing, performance gets cut in half, but the visuals are stunning. We finally get proper reflections, and I was surprised at how useful that actually is in gameplay. You can literally see if someone's behind you just by looking at a reflective car or mirror or a wall or something. But yeah, performance went from 120 FPS to around 60 to 90 FPS, which is not bad, but you know, it's different. Next, Far Cry 6. I really wanted to like this game. Anyways, running at nearly max settings, it never dropped under 60 FPS. And yeah, that's about it. The game runs very well, it looks very well, but I really want to like this game, but man, the story is just too goofy for me. Still, it's very fun, so there's that. Far Cry 5 is way better though. And we come full circle with Hitman 3, or World of Assassination, however you wanna call it. I remember when the first game in this trilogy launched, and it ran like trash. Not only because my PC sucked, but because the game wasn't optimized really well. Fast forward to now, and it runs beautifully. I have my own preferred settings, and that's because I don't like how ambient occlusion makes the game look, so I keep it on low or medium, but yeah, everything else is maxed out pretty much. But yeah, this game looks ridiculously good now. It runs really well too. If you told me 2 years ago I would have performance like this in games, I'd probably believe you, cause I always wanted to see what max performance looks like. And yeah, I know that the 3060 isn't the most powerful GPU, but I'm really happy with how it turned out, and I don't plan on changing anytime soon. So yeah, these are some of the games that I recorded and showed the FPS for you guys, and as you can see, it's really well. I know the i3 is probably a bottleneck, but who cares, I'll have to upgrade soon I guess. Anyways, looking back, my PC upgrade journey has been wild. From a budget build that could barely run GTA 5, to a system that can push over 100 FPS in modern games at 1080p at high settings, it's been a huge learning experience. The RTX 3060 feels like a milestone, and while I could upgrade even further, I'm actually happy with my setup right now. So, what's your PC upgrade story? Let me know in the comments, and thank you for watching.
Diggity dog. Breaking. Diggity dog.